Humans are untouchable, break this rule, and face annihilation. Part 1. The galactic accord. The galaxy was huge and filled with many different kinds of alien life. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had ruled over 400 different species across countless star systems. They made laws, settled fights between planets, and kept peace in the vast darkness of space. But there was one rule that stood above all others. It was called Directive Prime, and every alien species knew it by heart. The rule was simple: stay away from the small blue planet in the Sol system. Do not contact the creatures that live there. Do not study them. Do not even acknowledge that they exist. The humans of Earth had no idea that such a rule existed. Admiral Vex commanded the largest fleet in the Altarian Navy. His ships were sleek and powerful, equipped with weapons that could destroy entire moons. He was respected across the galaxy for his tactical skills and his honor in battle. But there was one thing that bothered him more than anything else: the mystery of Directive Prime. Vex stood on the bridge of his flagship, Stellar Wind, as it orbited a gas giant far from Earth. His tall, thin body was covered in the blue-gray skin common to his people. His large black eyes stared at the data screens showing intercepted signals from the Forbidden World. "Sir," said his communications officer, a young Altarian named Kai. "We have received another batch of transmissions from the third planet." Vex nodded. For decades, his fleet had been secretly monitoring Earth's radio and television broadcasts. It was against Council law, but Vex could not resist. The humans fascinated him in ways he could not explain. "What did they show this time?" Vex asked. Kai's fingers danced over his control panel. "More of their entertainment programs, sir. Something they call news broadcasts. They seem to be fighting among themselves again." Vex walked closer to the main viewing screen. Images of human cities appeared before him. Tall buildings made of glass and steel reached toward the sky. Millions of humans moved through busy streets, each one different from the others. Some had dark skin, others light. Some were tall, others short. Their diversity amazed him. "Look at them," Vex said quietly. "They are so young as a species, yet they have already spread across their entire planet. They have built machines that can fly through their atmosphere. They have even sent some of their kind to their moon." The science officer, Dr. Nara, joined them at the viewing screen. She was older than the others, with silver markings around her eyes that showed her age. "And wisdom?" "Admiral," she said, "I have been studying their history through these transmissions. The humans have survived things that would have destroyed most species. Ice ages that froze their world, volcanic explosions that blocked out their sun, diseases that killed millions of them. Yet they always recover, always grow stronger." Vex had noticed this too. Human history was filled with disasters and wars and suffering, but somehow they never gave up. When their cities were destroyed, they built new ones. When their crops failed, they found new ways to grow food. When diseases spread, they created medicines to fight them. "There is something different about them," Vex said. "Something that makes them special." Dr. Nara nodded. "I have been thinking." "The same thing, sir? Most species in the galaxy develop slowly. They take millions of years to go from simple tools to space travel, but humans have done it in just a few thousand years. It's almost like they're evolving faster than normal." The bridge fell silent as they all considered this. Evolution was supposed to be slow. It took time for species to adapt and change. Humans seemed to break this rule, just like they broke so many others. "Sir," Kai said suddenly, his voice filled with worry, "I am detecting movement in the outer rim of this system. Multiple ships approaching." Vex turned to the tactical display. Red dots appeared on the screen, moving toward the inner planets. He counted at least 50 vessels, all of them large and heavily armed. "Can you identify them?" Vex asked. Kai worked frantically at his controls. After a moment, his face went pale. "Sir, they are Drakmori ships, a full mining fleet." Everyone on the bridge went quiet. The Drakmori were known throughout the galaxy as resource harvesters. They traveled from system to system, taking whatever they wanted. Metals, gases, sometimes entire moons disappeared into their massive cargo holds. They did not care about the life forms that might be living on the worlds they stripped bare. "What are they doing here?" Dr. Nara asked, though she already knew the answer. Vex stared at the tactical display with growing horror. The Drakmori fleet was heading straight for the Sol system, straight for Earth. "They're going to violate Directive Prime," he said. The implications hit everyone at once. For 3,000 years, no species had dared to approach the human world. The Galactic Council had made it clear that such an action would have serious consequences. But what those consequences were, no one really knew. The rule was so old that most aliens had forgotten why it existed in the first place. "Should we contact the Council?" Kai asked. Vex considered this. By the time a message reached the Council chambers and a response came back, the Drakmori would already be at Earth. The bureaucrats would spend days arguing about what to do while the humans faced destruction. "Send a warning to the Drakmori." "Fleet," Vex ordered. "Tell them they are entering restricted space." Kai sent the message, but the response came back quickly. The Drakmori captain laughed at their warning. He said that Directive Prime was an old superstition, and that the Council was too weak to enforce it. The mining fleet continued on its course. Vex watched the red dots move closer to Earth's solar system. He thought about the humans he had observed. For so long, they had no idea what was coming. Their simple weapons and primitive spacecraft would be no match for Drakmori technology. "Sir," Dr. Nara said quietly, "what do you think will happen when they arrive?" Vex did not answer immediately. He stared at the tactical display, remembering all the human transmissions he had studied. Their movies showed them fighting against impossible odds. Their history books told of victories when defeat seemed certain. Their songs spoke of hope in the darkest times. "I do not know," he finally said. "But I have a feeling that the Drakmori are about to learn why Directive Prime exists." The bridge crew continued their watch as the mining fleet approached the Forbidden World. None of them could have imagined what was about to happen. None of them could have predicted that this day would change the galaxy forever. The countdown to first contact had begun. Humans are untouchable. Break this rule and face annihilation, Part 2. First, contact gone wrong. Captain Rex Drakmor stood on the command deck of his flagship, the Iron Harvest. He was a massive creature, even by Drakmori standards. Skin was covered in scars from countless mining operations on dangerous worlds. His forearms moved constantly as he gave orders to his crew. His yellow eyes gleamed with greed as he looked at the small blue planet growing larger on his viewing screen. "Beautiful," he said in his rough voice. "Look at all that water, and the metals in their moon. This will be our biggest haul yet." The Drakmori mining fleet had 50 ships, each one the size of a small city. They carried drilling equipment that could cut through solid rock like butter. Their cargo holds could swallow entire asteroids. They'd been traveling from system to system for over a century, taking whatever they wanted. "Captain," said his second-in-command, a scarred female named Grix, "we are receiving warnings from something called the Galactic Council." "They say this system is off-limits," Rex laughed. "A sound like grinding metal." "The Council. Those weak fools have no power out here. They sit in their fancy chambers and make rules, but they never enforce them. Ignore their warnings." The fleet moved closer to Earth. On the planet below, humans were starting to notice the strange objects in their sky. Television news shows interrupted regular programs to report on the mysterious ships. Scientists pointed their telescopes upward and gasped at what they saw. "Sir," called out the navigation officer, "the planet's moon has good mineral deposits." "Should we start there?" "Yes," Rex replied. "Begin mining operations immediately. If any of the local creatures try to interfere, destroy them." The mining ships descended on Earth's moon like hungry beasts. Their massive drilling arms extended downward and began tearing into the lunar surface. Ancient dust that had not been disturbed for billions of years flew into space as the machines worked. Chunks of moon rock disappeared into the cargo holds. On Earth, people watched in horror as their moon was being eaten alive. The tides began to change as the moon's mass decreased. Coastal cities reported strange waves and unusual water levels. President Maria Santos of the United Earth Alliance called an emergency meeting. Leaders from every nation gathered in the crisis room deep beneath the capital city. Their faces were pale with fear and confusion. "What are they?" asked Prime Minister Chen, his hands shaking as he looked at the satellite images. "Where did they come from?" "We don't know," replied Dr. Sarah Kim, the chief science advisor. "But they are clearly more advanced than us. Our most powerful weapons would barely scratch their ships." General Marcus Stone slammed his fist on the table. "We can't just sit here and watch them destroy our moon. We have to do something." "What can we do?" asked President Santos. "We have never dealt with anything like this before. We don't even know if they are intelligent or just some kind of space animals." Dr. Kim stood up and activated the main display screen. "I think we should try to communicate with them. If they are intelligent, maybe we can reason with them. Maybe they don't know that people live here." The room fell silent as everyone considered this idea. It was dangerous, but it might be their only hope. "I volunteer to lead the mission," said Ambassador Kate Williams. She was a former astronaut who had spent years training for space missions. Her calm voice and steady nerves made her the perfect choice for such a dangerous task. "It's too risky," General Stone said. "We don't know anything about these creatures. They might kill you on sight." Kate smiled sadly. "General, they are already killing our world. If we don't try to make contact, we will all die anyway. At least this way, we have a chance." President Santos nodded slowly. "Very well, but you will not go alone. Take a small team of our best people, scientists, linguists, anyone who might help with communication." Within hours, a small spacecraft launched from Earth. It was humanity's most advanced ship. But compared to the alien vessels, it looked like a toy. Kate Williams and her team of 5 other humans approached the largest Drakmori ship. They painted peace symbols on their hull and broadcast messages of friendship on every frequency they could think of. Captain Rex watched the tiny human ship approach his flagship. He found their attempts at communication amusing. They sent mathematical equations, pictures of their solar system, and simple drawings that showed humans wanting to talk. "How cute," Rex said to his crew. "The little creatures think they can negotiate with us. Should we let them dock, Captain?" asked Rex. Rex considered this for a moment. Could capture the humans and study them. They might have useful information about their planet's resources. But then he decided it would be more fun to send a message that the other humans would understand. "No," he said, "destroy them." The Iron Harvest's main weapons charged with deadly energy. Kate Williams saw the weapons turning toward her ship and knew what was about to happen. She quickly activated the emergency broadcast system. "This is Ambassador Williams to Earth," she said into her microphone. Her voice was calm, even though she knew she was about to die. "We tried to make peace with them. We offered friendship and cooperation. But they have chosen violence instead. Tell our families that we love them. Tell our world that we tried." The energy beam struck the human ship and vaporized it instantly. Kate Williams and her 5 companions died in a flash of light. Their final message reached Earth just as their ship became space dust. On Earth, 8 billion humans watched their representatives die. They saw the peaceful mission destroyed without warning or mercy. Children cried as they watched the footage. Adults stood in stunned silence. The elderly remembered wars from their past, but nothing had prepared them for this. The mining continued. More of the moon disappeared into the alien ships. Earth's rotation began to wobble as the gravitational balance changed. Weather patterns shifted in dangerous ways. But something else happened in that moment when the human ambassadors died. Something that the Drakmori could not see or measure. All across Earth, people felt a change inside themselves. It was like waking up from a long dream. It was like remembering something they had forgotten. In hospitals, doctors found themselves understanding diseases they had never studied. In laboratories, scientists solved problems that had puzzled them for years. In military bases, soldiers felt new strength flowing through their bodies. Captain Rex continued his mining operation. Unaware that he had just awakened something ancient and terrible, he thought the humans were weak and helpless. He thought destroying their ambassadors would make them afraid. He was wrong. Humans are untouchable. Break this rule and face annihilation Part 3. The Awakening Dr. Lisa Park had always been different from other scientists. While her colleagues at the university studied normal physics, she spent her time thinking about impossible things. She wrote papers about how human minds might be connected in ways that nobody understood. Most other scientists laughed at her ideas and called them crazy. But when the aliens killed the peace ambassadors, Dr. Park knew that her crazy ideas were about to become reality. She sat in her laboratory, watching the news reports on her computer. Screen around the world, strange things were happening to people. Factory workers were suddenly building machines they had never seen before. Children were solving math problems that should have taken years to understand. Farmers were growing crops in ways that broke all the rules of agriculture. It's starting, Dr. Park whispered to herself. Just like I predicted. She picked up her phone and called the emergency government hotline. Within minutes, she was connected to President Santos herself. Dr. Park, the president said, her voice tired and worried. I've read your research papers. Some of my advisors think you might have answers. Can you explain what's happening to our people? Dr. Park took a deep breath. Madam President, human consciousness is not what we think it is. We are not 8 billion separate minds. We are one mind with 8 billion parts. Most of the time. We don't notice this connection. But when our species faces extinction, something wakes up inside us. What kind of something? President Santos asked. Think of it like this, Dr. Park explained. Imagine a computer that normally runs 8 billion small programs. But when the computer is in danger, all those programs stop what they are doing and work together on one big task. Survival. Donna. President Santos was quiet for a moment. Are you saying that all humans are becoming smarter? Not just smarter, Dr. Park said. We're becoming what we were always meant to be. Every human who ever lived, every piece of knowledge we ever discovered, every skill we ever learned, it's all stored in our collective memory. And now we can access it. The president could hear the excitement in Dr. Park's voice, but she was still confused. How's that possible? I don't know how, Dr. Park admitted. But I know it's happening. Look at the reports coming in from around the world. People are doing things they should not be able to do. President Santos looked at the papers on her desk. Reports were flooding in from every country. In Japan, a team of engineers had designed a new type of engine that could travel faster than light. They claimed the design just came to them in a dream. In Brazil, mathematicians had solved equations that had puzzled scientists for centuries. In Africa, doctors were curing diseases using techniques that did not exist yesterday. General Stone, President Santos, called to her military advisor. What are your people reporting? General Stone looked up from his own stack of reports. His face was filled with amazement and confusion. Madam President, our soldiers are changing. They are stronger, faster, and smarter than they were yesterday. Our pilots are flying experimental aircraft they have never seen before, as if they have been training on them for years. And our scientists? The president asked. They are building weapons that should not be possible, General Stone replied. Energy shields that can stop nuclear bombs. Guns that shoot beams of pure light. Ships that can bend space around them. Dr. Park nodded as she listened to these reports. This is exactly what my research predicted. When humans face extinction, we don't just adapt physically, we adapt mentally. Our entire species becomes focused on one goal, eliminating the threat. In cities around the world, people were experiencing the same strange awakening. Teachers found themselves understanding subjects they had never studied. Students solved complex problems without thinking about them. Even small children were building toys that used advanced technology. In London, a mechanic named Tom was working on a car engine when suddenly he knew how to build a spacecraft. The knowledge just appeared in his mind, complete and perfect. He could see the blueprints as clearly as if he had studied them for years. In Moscow, a young girl named Anna was playing with blocks when she built a device that could generate unlimited energy. Her parents thought it was just a toy until they realized it was actually working in New York. A group of musicians found themselves composing songs that could influence people's emotions in precise ways. The melodies contained mathematical patterns that could calm fear or inspire courage. But the most dramatic changes were happening in the military and scientific communities. At research facilities around the world, teams of humans were working together in perfect harmony. They communicated without speaking, shared ideas without explaining them, solved problems by thinking as one massive brain. Dr. Elizabeth Chen worked at a government laboratory in California. Alien technology for years, trying to understand how faster-than-light travel might be possible. But in the past 24 hours, she had not only figured out the theory, she had built a working prototype. It's like someone turned on a light in my mind, she explained to her colleagues. I can see connections between things that I never noticed before. Physics, biology, chemistry, they are all parts of the same big picture. Her colleague, Dr. Michael Johnson, nodded in agreement. I feel like I've been asleep my whole life, and now I'm finally awake. The knowledge was always there. We just couldn't access it before. Around the world, similar scenes were playing out. Humans were accessing abilities and knowledge that they had never possessed as individuals. But they were not becoming superhuman. They were becoming truly human for the first time. President Santos called another emergency meeting. This time, the room was filled with scientists, military leaders, and ordinary citizens who had experienced the awakening. Dr. Park, the president said, "How long will this last?" Dr. Park considered the question carefully. "I believe it will continue until the threat is eliminated. Our species has activated its survival mode. We will not return to normal until we are safe again." General Stone leaned forward. "Are you saying we can fight back against the aliens?" "More than that," Dr. Park replied. "I believe we are about to show them something they have never seen before. They think they are dealing with a primitive species. They have no idea what humans are capable of when we work together." Outside the meeting room, the transformation continued. Humans across the globe were building, learning, and preparing for something that had never happened before in their history. They were preparing to fight as one species, with one mind, for the survival of their world. Humans are untouchable. Break this rule and face annihilation. Part 4. Retributions of Anta 2 hours had passed since the aliens destroyed the human peace mission. Captain Rex Drakmore continued his mining operations, unaware that the small blue planet below him was no longer the same world he had first seen. His massive ships carved deeper into Earth's moon, filling their cargo holds with precious metals and rare elements. Captain called his scanner operator, a thin Drakmori named Jex. "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from the planet's surface." Rex barely looked up from his command console. Probably their primitive power plants failing. The loss of their moon's gravitational pull is affecting their whole world. Soon they will all be dead, and we can mine their planet in peace. His instruments showed energy patterns unlike anything in the Drakmori database. "Sir, these readings are very strange. The power levels are increasing rapidly." "Stop worrying about the local creatures," Rex growled. "Focus on the mining operations." Out. On Earth, the transformation was complete. Humanity had spent 3 days building the impossible. Secret facilities around the world, teams of humans worked without rest. They built ships using materials that bent the laws of physics. They created engines that could travel faster than light by folding space itself. They designed weapons that could turn matter into pure energy. Admiral Tom Nash stood in the command center of humanity's first space fleet. He had been chosen to lead not by any government, but by the collective will of the entire human species. Every person on Earth somehow knew that he was the right man for this job. Nash was 55 years old and had spent his life in the military. He had commanded submarines, fighter jets, and space stations. But nothing had prepared him for the fleet that now surrounded Earth like a ring of silver fire. 27 ships hung in space around the planet. Each one was beautiful and deadly, shaped like teardrops made of liquid metal. They moved through space without visible engines, powered by technology that transformed human will into physical force. The ships were not just machines, they were extensions of the human mind itself. "Admiral," said his communications officer, Lieutenant Sarah Mills, "all ships report ready for combat. The pilots say they feel like they have been flying these ships their entire lives." Nash nodded. It was true. Every human involved in the mission somehow knew exactly what to do. The knowledge had appeared in their minds as if it had always been there. Pilots who had never seen the ships before could fly them perfectly. Engineers understood every system without reading manuals. Weapons officers could target enemies with impossible accuracy. "Open a channel to the alien fleet," Nash ordered. The main screen in the command center showed Captain Rex's ugly face. The Drakmori captain looked surprised to see the humans contacting him. He had expected them to beg for mercy or offer surrender. "This is Admiral Nash of the Terran Defense Force," Nash said in a calm, steady voice. "You have violated our sovereignty. You have murdered our diplomats. You've attacked our world. Withdraw immediately, or face the consequences." Rex laughed, showing his sharp yellow teeth. "Consequences? From you primitive creatures? I have 50 warships, each one capable of destroying entire moons. You have built, what, 20 small boats? From scrap metal? We have something you cannot understand," Nash replied. "We have everything to lose." Rex was about to respond with another insult when his tactical officer screamed a warning. "Captain, the human ships are moving. They're coming straight at us." On every Drakmori ship, alarms began blaring. The human fleet had accelerated from 0 to nearly the speed of light in seconds. Their ships moved in perfect formation, like a school of fish or a flock of birds. But these were not random movements. Every ship knew exactly where every other ship would be at every moment. "All weapons, fire," Rex shouted. The Drakmori fleet unleashed a storm of destruction. Energy beams that could melt asteroids lanced out toward the approaching human ships. Missiles that could crack planets streaked through space. The combined firepower was enough to destroy a small star, but the human ships danced between the attacks, like they could see the future. They twisted and turned in impossible ways, avoiding weapons fire that should have been unavoidable. When energy beams did hit them, their shields absorbed the power and somehow made the ships stronger. "Impossible," Rex screamed. "No species can move like that." The human fleet reached the Drakmori ships in less than a minute. But instead of crashing into them, the human vessels began to weave between the alien ships like threads in a tapestry. They moved so fast and so precisely that the Drakmori gunners could not track them. Then the humans began to fire back. Their weapons were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Beams of pure light that cut through the strongest armor. Energy pulses that turned solid matter into gas. Most terrifying of all, some kind of force that made Drakmori ships simply stop existing, as if they had never been built in the first place. "Captain!" Grix shouted over the noise of explosions. "We've lost 12 ships. The humans are destroying us." Rex could not believe what he was seeing. His mighty fleet, which had conquered hundreds of worlds, was being torn apart by creatures he had thought were helpless. The human ships moved with perfect coordination as if they shared a single mind. A human vessel appeared directly in front of the Iron Harvest. It was smaller than Rex's flagship, but it glowed with power that made his sensors overload. The human ship fired once. The beam cut through the Iron Harvest's shields like they were made of paper. It sliced through armor. That could stop nuclear bombs. It carved into the ship's core, causing explosions that shook the entire vessel. "Hull breach on all decks," screamed the damage control officer. "We're losing atmosphere." Rex staggered as his ship shook around him. Through the smoke and sparks, he could see more of his fleet dying. The humans were not just winning, they were completely destroying the Drakmori force without taking any damage themselves. "Retreat!" Rex shouted. All ships retreat. But it was too late. The human ships had surrounded the entire Drakmori fleet. There was nowhere to run. One by one, the alien vessels were reduced to expanding clouds of gas and metal fragments. Rex's ship was the last to die. As his command deck erupted in flames around him, he managed to activate the emergency communicator. His final message went out to every Drakmori base in the galaxy. Warning to all Drakmori forces, he gasped as fire consumed his bridge. Stay away from the Sol system, the humans... They are not what we thought. They are not like any species we have ever encountered. They fight as one mind, one body, one terrible force of nature. The transmission ended as the iron harvest exploded into a billion pieces. Admiral Nash watched the last Drakmori ship die. Around Earth, the debris of 50 alien vessels glowed like new stars in the darkness. The battle had lasted exactly 11 minutes. Humans are untouchable. Break this rule and face annihilation. Part 5. The new galactic order, the message from Earth, reached every corner of the galaxy at the same moment. It did not travel through space like normal radio signals, did not use the communication networks that connected different worlds. Instead, it appeared directly in the minds of every intelligent being in the galaxy. As clear as their own thoughts, Admiral Vex was still watching from his distant observation post when the voice entered his consciousness. He had seen the destruction of the Drakmori fleet through his long-range sensors, but he was not prepared for what happened next. "This is humanity speaking," the voice said. It was not one person talking, but somehow the voice of an entire species. For 3,000 years, your Galactic Council has maintained a law called Directive Prime. This law said that no alien species should contact our world. Today, that law was broken. Around the galaxy, billions of aliens stopped what they were doing. On the Council homeworld of Nexus Prime, emergency meetings were called as representatives from 400 species tried to understand what was happening. Humans had achieved something that the most advanced civilizations considered impossible. They were communicating directly with minds across the entire galaxy. The Drakmori Consortium believed they could attack our world and kill our people without consequences, the voice continued. They were wrong. We do not seek to conquer your worlds or control your governments. We have no interest in your politics or your trade agreements, but we will not allow anyone to threaten our species or our home. In the Andromedian sector, Counselor Mira felt the words resonate in her mind like a bell. She was one of the oldest beings in the galaxy, and she remembered stories that other species had forgotten. Stories about why Directive Prime had been created in the first place. Any force that attacks humanity will be completely destroyed, the voice said. This is not a threat or a negotiation. This is a statement of fact. We have shown you what happens when you break the oldest law in the galaxy. The message was not just words. Somehow every alien in the galaxy could see what had happened to the Drakmori fleet. They saw the human ships moving like liquid light through space. They saw weapons that turned matter into energy. They saw 50 powerful warships reduced to cosmic dust in 11 minutes. Back on Earth, Admiral Nash stood in the command center of the human fleet. The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. The ships that had fought the aliens were now rebuilding Earth's moon, using the debris from the destroyed Drakmori vessels. Huge machines that looked like they were made of flowing water moved through space, reshaping the cosmic wreckage into a new lunar surface. Admiral Lieutenant Mills said, "We're receiving communication attempts from across the galaxy. Hundreds of different species are trying to contact us." Nash nodded. He had expected this. The galaxy was full of curious beings who wanted to understand what had just happened. But humanity was not ready for that kind of contact yet, nor them for now, Nash said. We need time to process what has happened to our species. The truth was that humans were still changing. The collective awakening that had allowed them to defeat the Drakmori fleet was not fading away. If anything, it was growing stronger. Children were being born who could communicate without speaking. Scientists were discovering new laws of physics by simply thinking about them. Artists were creating works that could influence the emotions of anyone who saw them. Dr. Lisa Parks spent her days studying the transformation of human consciousness. Her laboratory had become a center for understanding what humanity had become. She worked with teams of researchers from around the world. all of them connected by the invisible network that now linked every human mind. "We are not the same species we were a week ago," she explained to President Santos during one of their daily briefings. "The awakening has made permanent changes to human consciousness. We can still function as individuals, but we are also part of something larger." President Santos looked out the window of her office at the construction happening in space above Earth. The moon was taking shape again, but it was different now. It glowed with a soft light that came from within, and patterns of energy moved across its surface like living art. "What does this mean for our future?" the president asked. "It means we are no longer just the inhabitants of one small planet," Dr. Park replied. "We are something new, something that the galaxy has never seen before." On Nexus Prime, the Galactic Council was in chaos. Representatives from hundreds of worlds argued about what to do next. Some wanted to send fleets to study the humans. Others demanded that Directive Prime be enforced more strictly than ever before. Counselor Myra stood before the assembly and called for silence. When the chamber was quiet, she spoke in her ancient, weathered voice. "I am older than most of you," she said. "I remember when Directive Prime was first created. My ancestors were there when the law was written. They knew something that we have forgotten." She activated the chamber's main display and showed documents that were older than most civilizations. The text was in languages that few beings could still read, but the meaning was clear. "The young species from the third world of Sol," she read, "are not to be disturbed. They are the galaxy's immune system, activated only when the balance of life is threatened. When they awaken, worlds burn. When they move, the cosmos trembles. They are untouchable." The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Directive Prime had not been created to protect other species from humans. It had been created to protect other species from what humans might become if they were threatened. "Our ancestors knew," Mira continued. "They understood that some species are different. Some species are designed to maintain the balance of life. In the universe, the humans are one of those species." Admiral Vex received new orders from the Council. He was to maintain his observation post, but under no circumstances was he to approach the Sol system. His mission was to ensure that no other species made the same mistake as the Drakmori, as he watched the human ships continue their work around Earth. Vex wondered what other miracles humanity might achieve. Their technology was beyond anything he had ever seen. Their ability to work together as one mind was terrifying and beautiful at the same time. The final part of humanity's message echoed across the galaxy one more time. "We are returning to our world now. We will continue to grow and learn as we choose. We will explore space when we are ready. We will protect ourselves as necessary. You are welcome to make peaceful contact when you can treat us as equals rather than curiosities or threats. Until then, remember this day. Remember what happens when you break the oldest law in the galaxy. Humans are untouchable. Break this rule and face annihilation." The human fleet disappeared into Earth's atmosphere like dreams made real. The blue planet continued to orbit its yellow star, but everything had changed. The age of human isolation was ending, and a new chapter in galactic history was beginning.